The multitude of abilities Samus collects on her journey are a key part of the Metroid franchise, usually having some fanfare when one is collected. However, in Super Metroid, there are hidden abilities, not talking about exploits like Mach Ball or Gravity Jump, but rather abilities made by the developers intentionally, even with their own animations and such, that are just not told to the player once they can use them. Today, I'm going to go over the 6 of them, what they are, how to use them, and the use cases they may or may not have. First of the most interesting ones, the beam combos. These 4 high damaging attacks can be done with having the charge beam and having one of the other beams activated, then, with the power bomb selected, charge your beam, then after 2 seconds, the attack will start, consuming a power bomb, and when the attack is out, you cannot shoot anything besides the grappling hook. They all have this problem of being too time consuming to use, with going into the menu to disable the other beams, along with the 2-second charge time, and the use of a whole power bomb makes them just not worth it for regular enemies. And if you want to kill a lot of basic enemies for the cost of a power bomb, I know a much faster way to do that. As for what each one does, the ice combo has 4 projectiles circled close to Samus, each doing 90 damage, totaling 360. For reference, since Super Metroid isn't one to tell damage numbers, the regular beam does 20 damage, the regular charge shot does 60, missiles do 100, and super missiles do 300. 360, while bigger than everything I just mentioned, simply isn't great damage. Raw power bombs, while technically doing 200 damage, can hit an enemy twice, totaling 400, and they can hit multiple enemies at once, instead of all your ice shots just kind of bang into one. And you can like shoot while the power bomb is active, and no 2-second charge time, and no need to go into the menu, and it has a full head of hair. In speedruns, it's only used in the 14% ice category for Ridley, Dragon, and Mother Brain, since all your other options for damage are like 10 super missiles and a couple nickels. The spacer combo, while looking like 6 projectiles, is actually just 2 long projectiles, seen by how the whole thing explodes when it hits one enemy, each doing 300 damage, totaling 600. While that's more than the power bomb's 400, it won't always do more damage, since most of the time, a projectile only hits one enemy, while a power bomb, does that. If there's more enemies on screen, the power bomb will do more damage. And since the spacer combo, is so fast, there might be a chance that, you might just only be able to hit one enemy, and the other one just kinda fucks off. Or given the 2-second startup, you might have just mistimed it, with an enemy or boss moving away from you. But there is a way to help with this, by spin jumping while charged. It kinda pauses the startup time, and when you land, combo comes out much quicker. And since the projectiles are so long, they might just hit some random bullshit instead of the thing you actually want to do damage to. As for speedrunning, on the Super Metroid Speedrun wiki, it said the combo is used on some routes of the max percent GT code category, but the route isn't specified. Also, a GT code, or Golden Chorizo code, is a leftover debug feature that allows the player to collect a lot of items at once and get a higher item completion than 100%. Watch this video to understand more, but we'll get some top runs, they just don't use it. Am I just missing something? A easy beginner way to kill a Phantoon or something? Tell me if you know.
Wow, that is delicious. Finally, some good fucking food.
The wave combo, otherwise known as the X Factor, is the only beam combo that is good. Spawning 4 300 damage projectiles on the sides of the screen, converging on Samus in an X formation, and will continue to do so if Samus is standing still. But if Samus moves, the projectiles will orbit around her, allowing you to control where the projectiles go. In speedruns, not even weird categories, but normal any or 100% runs, the X Factor is used against famous Metroid character Batoon and Dragon, and sometimes Phantoon and Ridley, where the runner will set up the 4 projectiles to clump up together and initially whack the boss. for 1200 damage as soon as they peep their little head out. And even if you're not like a god level speedrunner, it's still the best of the 4. It's still useful for bosses like Fantoon and Botwoon. With how fast the projectiles are, they may just ram into the boss, and you just don't have to worry about aiming, but rather more on just dodging. It's kind of like a homing attack, but like, not at all. And it's like probably good on Dragon, but like if you're like playing casually, just I don't know, it's just like tasing. And then there's the plasma combo. It's like the X Factor, shooting 4 300 damage projectiles, but without the ability to control where they go. So without the best part, but instead in a fixed, short-lived pattern. And much like the beam itself, had unique ability to pierce multiple enemies, making it an okay screen clearing option. But at that point, you probably have the plasma beam and all the other beams, which stacked together, a charge shot does 900 damage. Just use that. Or the X Factor, which does the same amount of damage, and you can control it. Overall, I find the beam combos really interesting. Combos technically appeared in the first 2 Prime games, but they're pretty different, with them being their own items, and not something you do with power bombs. I see them as like the devs trying to keep that like choice factor of which beam to choose. Since Super is the first game to have beam stack, and not like in past games where you can only have one beam equipped at a time. But this fails since the combos are usually just not worth the time or resources, and when using them, they just kind of feel flat and skillless, given the stagnant animations on them, with the exception of the X Factor, which allows for sick trick shots on famous Metroid character Botwoon. Now for the ability seen in the thumbnail for the video, the Crystal Flash, which performing it might be the most overcomplicated cryptic bullshit of all time, with Samus needing to be at 50 or less health, which also includes the reserve tanks. They have to be empty too. And you need 10 missiles and super missiles, and 11 power bombs. Well, technically you need 10 power bombs, but you have to use one, and then have 10 left in your inventory once the power bomb explosion goes off. So you could just collect one on the floor after placing the bomb if you only have a max of 10. Okay, then after you plant the power bomb, you hold L and R and whatever button you have mapped to shoot, as well hold down, and don't let go of them. Then after the explosion, it will activate. While doing this might be dumb as shit, it makes up for it by having the single most raw animation of all time. I don't know, something about someone going to this fetal pose to regenerate, it strikes a nerve in my brain. I don't know why I like it so much. This ability appears in the Nintendo Power Super Metroid comic, with Old Bird here explaining how the ability works, using the energy of the power bomb to instead heal Samus. It's so cool that the game actually shows it to you in the title screen demos, along with the Plasma Beam combo, Pseudo Screw Attack, and Shine Spark. As for what it actually does, it drains 10 of the before mentioned items, and it heals you to full. You're also invincible during it. It's used in reverse boss order speedruns to regain health after hell runs, which are when you go across a fire room with no Varia suit. There's also an entire category for doing a Crystal Flash, given the entire bucket list of requirements to do one. As for casual runs, if you're struggling on a boss, you can use it to play more defensively, giving up some firepower in exchange for basically a second health bar. Because surprisingly, bosses have a lot of openings for you to just do this. Or if you're just stranded below 50 health, and there's no health stations or bug pipes on the map, and you have the items for it, then I guess you just go for it. This ability feels the most Easter eggy out of all of them, with how complicated it is to do it, and the tie-in to the Super Metroid Nintendo Power comic. But it's a cool Easter egg! The next two are the easiest to perform, likely to be done on accident, with the Bomb Spread and Pseudo Screw Attack, both being done at full charge, then going to Morph Ball or Spin Jumping respectively. For the bombs, what happens is that when Samus goes into Morph Ball will charge, she just kinda shits out 5 bombs. For casuals, the only real use to this is to get B-Tums off of you, if you wanna do that dumbass shimmy to get them off, or go nuclear. You can just stand still. And they're a decent way to get Metroids off, if you shimmy enough though. It isn't the most guaranteed thing of all time, there's still some skill to it. Wow, who knew that the main enemy of the final area of the game would be difficult to deal with?
Fuck!
It is used in speedruns in like certain rooms, like this shaft in lower Norfair, to break 2 blocks at once. However, this is only seen in low percent runs, where the player doesn't have a lot of power bombs. I actually prefer what other 2D Metroids do, or if you add full charge and go into Morph Ball, you just automatically shoot your charge. It's useful for breaking regular blocks and tunnels, or if there's an enemy there. And besides the niche cases in speedruns, the spread usually causes the bombs to clump up on one block. I know you could just release the charge before you go into ball mode, but that requires like effort. Most of the time when I use this thing, it's on accident and it lags out the game. For an actual useful ability, the pseudo screw attack is great, doing 200 damage independent of what beam you have, making it a very good damage dealer early game. As well, it's a good defensive tool, allowing to kill flying dive bombers, like Gigas, and just go through bosses' projectiles, like Phantoon's flames, and it frees you from Dragon's sticky web fluid thing. You might see this thing in speedruns, to kill something without stopping to shoot. As well, to maintain your pseudo screw attack after a wall jump, you must let go of the charge button mid-somersault before you reach the wall, or you'll just do this. It feels very awkward at first, but you'll get used to it. This is something that has returned in every 2D Metroid game, and it's just always a good way to kill enemies and keep momentum. For the last two, they're not really hidden at all, as you have direct tutorials. Their Shine Spark and Wall Jump are taught by the Dachora and the Itakuns respectively. The Dachora, I feel, is just easier to understand, with its animation looking like the Speed Booster and Crouch being much easier for the player to recognize, compared to the Itakuns mimicking the split-second animation Samus does when she jumps into a wall, then you snap to the opposite direction, which shows you the window to wall jump. It's like trying to teach a kid complex math, but instead of like explaining what each part means, but instead just do the entire problem in your head and only write the answer. The Itakun room has been dubbed Hell, by the way. As for what they do, you probably know. The Shine Spark launches Samus at high speeds, up, left, or right, or maybe diagonal too. The game has a couple Shine Spark puzzles. They're not as complex as we'll see in later games, but like Shine Spark puzzles are like crack to me, man. They still feel good here. Unique to this game, Shine Sparks will drain your HP while active. Don't know why it does that. Glad they got rid of it. And in speedruns, of course they use this. See how fast this goes? But a thing speedrunners do is that they shoot right before they spark to open the door at the end of the room. Also, when Samus crashes into a wall, she spawns these little echoes of herself that do like 1 billion damage, which runners use to kill these silver space pirates near Ridley's music studio. As for the wall jump, it's a wall jump. What do you think it does? I mean, it's one of those wall jumps that allows you to climb a flat surface, and not like one that pushes you too far away, seen in Fusion and the Mercury Steam games. It's probably responsible for like a 90% of the secrets breaks in the game. It's critical for any form of Super Metroid gameplay beyond a casual playthrough. And once you get used to the type timing to do it, it just makes you see the entire game in a new light. It's great, and probably something you're not going to see in any modern game, because I don't think modern devs are that inclined to include something so powerful in your base kit, if the only thing limiting its power is that it's kinda unintuitive. So, that's it. That's the 6 of them. But there's also like this weird thing that Samus does when you press the A button. I wonder what it's called.
The ability to jump.